The world moves fast. Nothing stays still. But in every moment of change, there is power in our response. As one of the fastest women in the world in the 1500 meters, Sinclaire Johnson has built her career on a foundation of resilience and finding inspiration from within. In the face of adversity, never fold. In the face of adapt or die, innovate your process. And in the face of change, always be your biggest advocate. I hope you all enjoy this episode of B-Scar TV with our very special guest, Sinclaire Johnson.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Happy to be here.
Yeah. Appreciate you being here. We've known each other for a couple of years now, from the Pace days.
Yes.
With old Dave McHenry, Big Cat. And I'm curious, just to kind of kick us off, is just like to set the stage of where you are from a season perspective. Mm-hmm. Curious, it's your off season and season, like where are you at right now?
Yeah, so honestly, my season starts next week. So basically from January to honestly end of March is indoor season. And so, I'm getting ready to start my indoor campaign. Yeah. A lot of the races indoors just because there's not a lot of indoor facilities on the West Coast or on the East Coast. So a lot of races are in Boston and New York. But I'm actually opening up next weekend in Seattle because there's an indoor track at University of Washington. Okay. So that'll be my first race.
Cool. Mm-hmm. In Portland, is there anywhere to train indoor?
There
is.
And
University of Portland.
Yeah, there is that track. It's weird though because it's literally a circle, so you're kind of turning the entire time.
Right.
But honestly, the weather is really not that bad here. We don't get a lot of snow, as you know, and I mean, sometimes we'll get ice and snow, but it's pretty rare. And so I really never had that many days where I can't train outside. But saying that, we do like to go to somewhere warmer in the winter, during January and February. So I'll actually be going to Phoenix after my race that's kind of going to be my base camp. Okay. And so I just base out of there for January, February. And just because it's 75 degrees and sunny and nice every single day. So it's really hard to beat that. And as I'm racing, I like to be able to run faster in workouts. And it's just harder to do that when it's cold out. So
Right. Yeah. What's Phoenix like from a trails perspective?
It's actually really good. Yeah, there's
softer surfaces.
Yeah, there's a huge, basically like a canal system. So the main canal that runs through Phoenix, Scottsdale, there's trails on the side of it, or like a one wide trail on the side of it that's like crushed gravel. Okay. And honestly, you can access it from a lot of places in Phoenix, and it's pretty great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah, it's nice training. And then with Arizona State being there, we use their facility a lot for my harder track workouts, and they're always very accommodating. So
Nice. Love that. You got the keys.
Yeah,
you got the keys to AAT.
I got the code. Yeah.
Okay. Nice. So we got a season around the corner on the B-Scar TV podcast, where our mission is to inspire listeners or viewers, and through our conversation, hopefully that they can pick up little anecdotes of inspiration. But also, hopefully that inspiration is practical in the way that they can innovate their lives. And selfishly, I want to have the conversation with you to help me innovate my life as well. And so we've had an anchor question for each episode of season 3. And it is, what is inspiring you these days? What has been a source of inspiration? It can be recently, as you've been ramping up towards, the start of your season, or just like holistically over time, what's been a source of inspiration for you?
That's a really good question. I honestly draw a lot of inspiration from within my own self. And I just genuinely want to be the best possible athlete I can be in my event. And so I feel like a lot of my own inspiration just comes from my journey and like kind of what I've been through and it's how I've overcome that. And then too, like a lot of other athletes, just kind of paving the way of like a very non-traditional path to success, I think is really inspirational and kind of resonates a lot with me.
Yeah, I feel that. Where does that come from? That like intrinsic, inspiration to want to be your best self. You think that's something that like growing up you were exposed to that and that's why how you have that, or you were born with it? Or
I think I think it's a little bit of like nature nurture. I think part of it is just kind of my DNA, just always kind of been the kid growing up that is trying to strive to be a perfectionist, like kind of at a fault sometimes. But then I think also like my parents really pushed me growing up, whether that was in school or sports. And I think they probably saw my potential before I could even see my potential and really made sure that I didn't settle for less, which I guess sometimes can seem like a little harsh, but they did it in a very loving way. And it was in a way that I think really shaped me to be the athlete and person I am today.
Yeah. Did you play other sports growing up?
I did, yeah. I played lacrosse.
Okay.
Yeah.
Relax. All right.
I did, yeah. I was pretty big on the East Coast. I grew up in Florida, so it was pretty big there. And it was always funny because I would get in a lot of trouble because I was just always the most aggressive on the field.
Okay.
And constantly
whacking fools out there.
Yeah. And women's lacrosse is not a contact sport technically, like men's lacrosse. Like men's lacrosse, they were in the helmet, they were in the shoulder pad, and you can hit each other. Yeah,
and you can like check.
Oh yeah, body check. Yeah, and women's lacrosse is not. So it's full non-contact sport. And there is checking, but there's very specific rules on when and how. And a lot of times I definitely bend those rules and was a little more aggressive. And I think that was I always remember my mom after this one game that we had, I think I got honestly probably a red card. And it was not even in like a malicious way. It's just like I was just so wanting to win that I was willing to do anything it took. And I think one of the coaches afterwards told me, and my mom didn't tell me this until years later, but one of the coaches afterwards is just like, you need to talk to your daughter. She's way too aggressive. Like she really needs to tone it down.
Oh, wow.
And my mom was basically just like, no, I'm not telling her that. I'm not telling her to tone it down. Like I'm gonna let her do her thing. But yeah, so I started with lacrosse, and honestly, that's what I was planning on doing in high school until I started just running cross country for general staying in shape in the fall, since lacrosse is ring sport. And long story short, just realized I was good at it and I liked it. And I liked the fact that I could control the outcome, like me solely could control the outcome. And I mean, I'm sure you understand this too, is like you could have the best game of your life and you can, try really, really hard and just play really, really well. But ultimately it's a team sport and it's got to be collective. So I really struggled with that in lacrosse, and track and field was kind of that way of like, okay, I can have the outcome I want by putting in the effort.
Right. So. Yeah. Your preparation can control the outcome.
Yeah.
You hate to lose.
I hate to lose. Really hate to lose.
Sounds like a decision of someone who really cannot stand losing.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, I feel that.
Which is probably something I should work on,
Blessing and a curse.
Yeah, blessing and a curse, totally.
Yeah. Your mom's Jamaican.
Yeah. Yeah. Our dad grew up in Kingston, but then he was an orphan there. So then he left and moved to America. I don't actually know when on the specifics, but yeah. Wow. Yeah. So she's part Jamaican.
Fellow Yachty.
Yeah.
My dad was born in Jamaica.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, we just went back, or I just went back over the summertime. Actually, it was me, my dad, brother, and sister, and so we went back and stayed on the family, like in the family neighborhood in the community, which is like the west part of the island. It's more of like the country part of Jamaica. It's in in Hanover Parish, in this place called Cousins Cove, and we still have like cousins, aunts, some uncles who live like they all basically live like clustered together in this like area. The area is actually called Big Yard.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and so that was the inspiration of
awesome.
the name of the foundation. And we all went back and stayed for a week, like at Big Yard, which typically that's rare for us because growing up we used to like maybe we'd go stay at some of the resorts, you know, maybe in Negril, or we'd stay up in Montego Bay and then like spend a day or two with the family and then go back, you know. But this time we stayed all with the family, and times have changed. So like there's air conditioning and you know what I mean? Like they're renovated the homes and like are living comfortably. Like back in the day, like when I was coming up, it was relatively rough, you know. It does not, don't come from like great means from a wealth perspective, but I love Jamaica, like bottom of my heart, and family over there, whether they're family or not, they treat you like family, you know,
awesome.
take care of one another.
I love that.
Yeah, it's a beautiful place.
That's awesome. So how many times have you been there then? It sounds like you've been there quite a bit.
Quite a bit, yeah. I probably couldn't count on two hands.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
So over the past, we went 2024, and I think before that we were there in 22, 21. Like I've been over the last 4 years, probably been 3 or 4 times, which is
Yeah.
And then my sister and dad just went back a few weeks ago.
Okay.
So we're starting to like more frequently get back home, which is cool because, you know, now that my sister's graduated and my brother's graduated, you know, siblings are coming into adulthood, and now we can, you know, have a little bit more control over our schedules and make those trips. But it's been really good to kind of reconnect.
That's awesome.
Place.
Yeah, just being immersed in that community and being family and
100%.
kind of seeing where you came from too. That's awesome.
Have you ever been?
No, never been. Yeah, I want to go.
You should check it out.
Yeah. I know. I'm like, I think there's something really special about kind of going back to places where like your heritage really stemmed from. So it's definitely on my list to go.
Yeah. I mean, especially with the track background.
Oh yeah, totally.
And I mean, we talked earlier about like how they love track and field over in Europe.
Yeah.
Like Jamaica
Oh,
is like,
Yeah.
They are about their track.
Oh, yeah.
You know, like it's serious.
Yeah.
And they really like watch the meets. Like we're watching.
Oh yeah.
You know, and at the meets too, it's crazy.
Yeah.
You know, their culture around track.
The Jamaican sprint culture is just, I mean, it's just legendary. It's just like produced so many good athletes, and obviously the best sprinter of all time has come from there on both the men's and women's side. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah. But not as much distance though.
Yeah, they don't really have many distance runners. I mean, I'm just thinking it's warm down there. It's just more conducive to people just running fast and, you know, not really pounding out 12 miles, 13 miles, and, you know, the Jamaican sign. So they're like, let's get in and get out.
That's real. Yeah, that's real. That's real. Yeah, it's hot out there.
Yeah.
And those yams help your fast twitch muscles more.
Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be cool for you to go out there and like train with even, I mean, obviously there's more sprinters out there, but like speed training for a day.
Yeah,
like with the squad, and they have that legendary coach down there who I forget his name, but he was coach. He was Usain's coach. Then he was coaching Elaine Thompson for a while, but not anymore recently. And then Mommy Rocket was coaching her, but I think they had split recently too. But like he's produced a lot of like great sprinters out there. But I mean, I would love to go out there and like do a training session with them. Just
be humbled.
To be around it, you know, like the energy, like,
Yeah, it's cool. I think that's the coolest part about, you know, when we go to meets over in Europe and they're more international than meets over in America. And just seeing different people from different countries, and the Jamaicans, honestly, they're always having a good time out there. They're always just
Really?
you can just tell that they love what they do. They're obviously very good at what they do, and they work hard, but they're always having a good time. Yeah, just playing music and dancing, and just like, I want to be a part of that. That was fun.
Right. Yeah, no, that's cool.
Yeah.
And they're also putting in work.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
The work is crazy.
To be as good as they are, yeah, you have to put in some serious work.
Yeah. We were talking earlier about like raising the awareness of the sport, and I watched a little bit of Sprint, Sprint documentary, and it showed some of their training over there, and they talked about the coach and like the environment that they're training in. I think documentaries like that help the sport, like these storytelling aspects of things, but then also for us to get kind of that inside look around like the work that they're putting in. And it's not pretty what they're training, like the places they're training at, the blocks are in like some old like high school track or something. Like it's not glamorous.
No, definitely not. Yeah, that's one thing about track and field is definitely not glamorous. I mean, I can't tell you how many, which probably shouldn't be saying this, but like how many, fences I've had to jump to get onto high school tracks. And,
100%.
Just like we don't have any facility at our beck and call wherever we go. And sometimes you just got to do with what you got. And a lot of the beauty though of track and field is like, it's so simple. It's just running. And so you can really do it anywhere.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely not glamorous. We're not flying private jets. Some of us, obviously the top dogs get paid really well, but even compared to the top dogs of other sports, it's nothing. So, but I think there's just a common love for the sport and people, obviously I think the sport being bigger and more awareness to it would be a great thing, but we don't really do it for that. Just do it because we just genuinely love it and want to be the best. So
yeah, it's a beautiful sport.
Yeah,
it's a beautiful sport.
Just pure, just running. We've been doing that for thousands and thousands of years.
Yeah,
it's pretty cool. Yeah.
And now you're one of the best humans in the world.
Yeah.
Which is a cool thing to say. What's your routine like right now from a daily routine? Take me through what a day.
Yeah.
Or this is like a loaded question, but I'm curious like what a day looks like. But then if you could paint the picture in respect to a week, a month, or even like a year, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like take us in close of like, this is what a day looks like, and then kind of maybe zoom out.
Yeah. Honestly, a lot of days are different for me right now, just because we're kind of in pretty heavy training. Like this is, not as serious as I would say May or June is when we're ramping up for the summer, but we're in pretty good training right now. So I'm in full training mode, which basically means like today, for example, after this, I'll have a workout later and then we'll lift. After that, I typically lift on my hard workout days. But then like tomorrow, for example, I'll have a shorter run in the morning.
Okay.
And then I'll typically get some kind of treatment at least once a week. So tomorrow I'll have a massage. Nice. And then I'll go back out, and I've been getting really into cycling lately.
Okay.
And I run a little bit less miles than a typical person in my event. I've just had a lot of history with injuries. So trying to limit the mileage but still kind of work my heart and lungs. And so it's nice this week. So fortunately I get to cycle outside. Sometimes I have to cycle inside. But then I'll go back out for like an hour cycle.
Okay.
And that's kind of like my easy day of just kind of 90 minutes total of just easy aerobic work.
Yeah.
And then a week is typically I work out Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
Okay.
And by workout, I mean, they're usually harder efforts. So Monday and Wednesdays are usually what we call threshold and tempo. And so it's kind of just sustaining a certain pace for anywhere from 4 to 6 miles.
Okay. Same pace.
Yeah.
That's what a threshold workout is?
Yeah, same pace. Generally, like, not to bore you with the science.
No. Let's get into the weeds here.
I recently started using a lactate meter. Have you ever heard of lactate meter?
How's that work?
So so you prick your finger and a dot of blood comes out, and this machine measures the lactate in your blood.
Okay.
And so it's a really good. I've done a lot of testing with Nike Research Lab, and so I've kind of figured out my numbers of what is threshold. So essentially, threshold is when you're producing or you're clearing as much lactate as you're producing.
Okay.
So you're not going into an anaerobic state. You're staying very aerobic. I'm throwing a lot of words, sciencey words at you, but and so that's the idea of my Monday, Wednesday workouts is staying in this aerobic threshold zone, and you can just get huge benefits from staying in the zone, and it's relatively safe. And
because if you go over into anaerobic, then you're like.
Yeah, because your
really-
muscles start, and that type of workout I'll typically do once a week. So those are my Fridays.
Yep.
But so with the amount of work I do throughout a week, I really want to control my aerobic threshold days, and that way I don't put myself in a state of not recovering enough. And being too fatigued going into a really hard session on a Friday.
Got you. So Monday, Wednesday threshold workouts.
So Monday, Wednesday threshold.
And what's an example of like a threshold?
Like today, I'll have 4 or 3 times 1.5 miles at a time with like 60 seconds rest. So I'll go out to Nike, and there's a good 1.5 mile trail out there.
Oh yeah, on the bark
Hollister.
chips?
No,
Not the bark chips.
No, the Hollister, like the kind of it's like across the campus.
Oh, okay. I haven't ran that one.
Anyways, it's a perfect 1.5 mile loop, and it's more firm. It's like crushed gravel, but it's firmer.
Okay, got you.
And so it's perfect to be able to do that. So I'll do that today.
What pace keeps you in aerobic state?
And that's the thing is like your lactate, it depends on so many things.
Oh, because you're using that meter. So
yeah, and so it's like some days, like on Monday we use the meter, and I was probably running 5:15 pace, because I would.
Sorry.
But that's not always the case, though. Some like today it could be, since they're longer reps. Monday was a little bit shorter reps.
Okay.
Today it could be anywhere from, I'm going to say 5:30 to 5:45, I would say.
Got you. And Monday can be faster because maybe your lactate isn't as high, so you can like gauge based on that, so you go a little bit faster. But
right. And
by Wednesday, you're a little bit fatigued maybe from the...
Totally. Yeah, and so it's just nice to have that kind of real-time data and real-time, just being able to see exactly how you're responding to what you're doing in the moment, and being able to be like, oh, our lactate's really low today, like we can run faster, or oh, it's really high today, we need to back off. And it's just been, I think I've had a lot of periods of overtraining, which is why I've had so many injuries. And so we're really trying to use this meter and to just make sure we're staying controlled on these days. And obviously there's some days we let it rip, but a lot of days we really try and control the effort.
That's the hardest thing.
It is, yeah.
It's like not going too hard. That's it was always the issue that I would run into, and even today, even though I'm not, competing professionally, but when I was, like, injuries would come as a result of going too hard. And not listening to my body when my body's saying like, yo, I'm sore. I am like hurting. And it's like, there's such a fine line between, okay, you're sore, push through that shit, because that's gonna move the threshold. It's gonna move the needle. But then right on the other side of that fine line is, all right, I tried to tell you, now I'm about to grab this hamstring and you gonna sit your ass down.
Oh yeah, I've had plenty of those of, my body is telling me one thing over and over again, and then it's like, okay, you won't listen, then I'll make you listen. And then all of a sudden, it's a full-blown injury, so. Yeah, it's tough. It's like, I think it's still a learning game for me, just figuring out, like you said, like exactly how hard you can push without going over that line. And yeah, that's probably, I think, the hardest thing that I struggle with is just figuring out what my body can respond to and stay healthy, but then also making sure that I am training hard enough just to be able to run, with the best in the world. You have to do some really hard things.
No doubt. Yeah. And I like now there's so much innovation around sports science where you can actually like track the, your states, your aerobic or anaerobic states, or your lactate, or like your readiness score. Like I wear this Oura ring. And it's cool, but you got the Apple Watch, you got all these different wearables that like track the state that you're in. You could wake up and check like a number, and supposedly it's telling you basically what you're capable of that day, or how you should be thinking about your day, which I love. Like there was times where we were like ramping up and building our foundation of fitness like early in our off-season training. We used to train out of Nike as well with my trainer Keith, and some days he would have us do our running with our heart rate, like a heart rate monitor. Okay. And so we'd like strap on a catapult, and then he would watch it on the computer, and maybe we're doing like 40-yard tempos or something, and we're going down, back. And then when you get there, your heart rate gets up to, I don't know, 145. And it's like, you can't go on your next rep until you come down to 130. Yeah. And then we're doing a certain level of reps, which, you're able to kind of calibrate like what you can do in those moments. But it's kind of similar to what you're doing with lactate too, is like when you get the prick and you get a number, and it's like, okay, this level is too high. Let's go a little bit slower, or it's too low. Like, let's pick it up. Yeah.
Yeah. Just having, that real-time information, because that's another thing. Heart rate, like it can really vary, depend on, if it's hot outside, if you're not hydrated, and that's lactate's the same thing. Sometimes it can be with heart rate too, is like if you have a lot of clothes on, sometimes your heart can just be elevated in that way. And so you kind of, it's nice to have all this information and science, but you also, I think, which this is something that obviously I need to get better at, but like your own internal dialogue and your own, that's going to be the best indicator. That's going to be your North Star. And sometimes you fail to listen to that. But I think, at the same time, like it's not, the science isn't all perfect. And a lot of times it's just kind of like how you feel. So
no, that's real.
But then you have to also think about, if you do feel a certain way, maybe you should be listening to that. And that's the hard part.
Yeah, I have a good friend who, his name's Brian Peters. He was on the podcast in season 1, but we played together with the Texans. And he's gotten big into breath performance. Oh, yeah. And he'll do the sauna and cold plunge stuff. And he always says that, like, in our society and as humans, we've gotten further and further away from feeling and really like feeling how our body feels, and like being able to tune into that, because so often we're just like paying attention to these external stimuli, whether it's your phone or this screen or this conversation or you're driving or whatever, you're like paying attention, your brain's paying attention to the external, and very rarely are you sitting there and just like feeling how you're feeling.
So true.
And that's like, he talks about that, because with the breath, a lot of it is like it's your mind and it's your focus. And then it's when you're in a sauna, when you're in a cold plunge, you're in these very uncomfortable states, which you have no choice but to listen to how your body feels. And like you're forcing like back into that place of like, okay, how is my body feeling right now in this point of like discomfort? So then when you step out into the world, you actually are kind of more attuned to be able to listen.
Yeah, I love that. Like, I think, like to go along with that, like, I think meditation also is one of those things where you're just sitting with, your body and your mind. And like, I've tried to really get into that recently. And I think it's just, you just do like a few minutes of that a day, and it just can really change the rest of your day. And like the way, like you said, like you go about your day, and it can be really powerful. The mind is so powerful.
So powerful.
So, yeah.
I got into meditation in 2024.
Nice.
Yeah, for the first time. I took a trip to India.
Oh, wow. You're like fully immersed.
Oh,
That's awesome.
I was in it.
Yeah?
Yeah, I was in it fully. I flew into New Delhi, and then I went up to Rishikesh, which is like north, like foothills of the Himalayas, and like
was like a guided meditation that you were doing, or
guided is probably like overstated. Like there was a program.
Okay.
I stayed at an ashram.
Okay.
Which is essentially like in the Hindu religion, like an ashram is a place where like the guru or like the leader maybe has like it's like a school. And so his devotees, the devotees go, and then it's yoga, it's meditation, it's a lot, there's libraries, you study. And so it was like basically a curriculum. It was just like a daily schedule that it would start at, the morning bell would ring at 5 a.m. And then you'd have meditation start at 5:15, and you go into the yoga room, and it's like, it's dark at that time, and you just walk in the dark, and like all these people like walking into this yoga hall, and like I showed up, and so when I say guided is overstated, like my first morning, is bell, and I'm like, in this strange place I haven't been before, just got in like the night before, and like I walk out, and I like just follow the people that I see, and everybody's, it's early in the morning, so everybody's kind of just like dragging. Then I get into the yoga hall, and there's a guy in the front of this space, just like in lotus, just sitting there on a pillow. And then like we all get in, like, I don't know, at maybe like 5:20, he like says the first words, everybody's just been sitting there in silence. And he's just like, close your eyes. And just close your eyes. Like that was the extent of the guidance.
You're like, then, okay, what do I do now?
Yeah, and maybe it was like, a chant or something to like get into it. And then it was just like sit for an hour.
Oh my gosh, an hour.
Well, 5:15 to 6:15, so depending on when you got in there. And people, it was like, it was loose enough where like I can't do the lotus.
Yeah.
And especially back then, I was like, my hips are so tired.
Yeah. Same, yeah.
And so I was leaning back against the wall, and some people would like choose to just like lay down with a pillow or whatever. And, but yeah, so anywhere from probably like 45 minutes.
Wow.
And I mean, very uncomfortable.
Oh, I was like, can you do it for like a full hour now, or like?
Yeah, I went until they told me to open my eyes.
That's impressive. That's a long time.
And it's easier with a group.
Yeah.
Because everybody else in there is doing the same thing. But it was difficult, but it got easier over the 9 days. It definitely was not nowhere near expert then, and still am not now. But I started to learn just techniques, because we were doing meditation. It was twice a day, those like hour-long bouts. But then there was also yoga after the morning meditation.
Nice.
And then there was an evening yoga as well. And then in the middle of the day, there was like a library study time and like these facilitated lectures. And so you could go and learn from these people, the gurus, as they would be called. And like they're explaining to you the reason behind the meditation and the yoga, and like how it connects to the scripture, and how you're like leading your life morally, and how it all kind of comes back together. And I came out of it like realizing that the whole point of meditation is really about like concentration, and being able to like close your eyes and focus on one thing for as long as you can. For that hour, can you just think about one thing? Because then, I mean, that is like practice. It's like practicing your mind control. It's like your threshold, right?
Yeah. No, totally. Yeah. Because I mean, I don't even want to like butcher it, but I don't know how many thoughts that we have a day. And sometimes, they're a little sporadic, and being able to just silence, it's not really about silencing your mind, but just being able to like quiet it and kind of letting thoughts come and go. And just, like you said, focus on one thing it's incredibly hard.
Yeah.
But it's powerful though, at the same time.
100%. When you're doing your meditations now, do you have a technique?
I usually like say, sometimes I'll say like a mantra.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
I feel like if I'm totally silent in my head, I feel like that's when my mind just goes and I'm thinking about what I have to do today and whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, sometimes I'll stick to, I think that's easier for me to stick to a mantra. But yeah, still even then, like I try to do between 5 to 10 minutes at least, in the morning, just to kind of set the tone for the day. And that's why I'm like, an hour is, oh my gosh, it's so impressive. Like, kudos to you for doing that. That's hard.
Yeah. Since I've gotten back, it's tough to go for an hour.
Yeah.
There was a time, I still do a daily as part of my daily regimen, but I used to like, when I first got back, I was really fearful of, when I got back, I felt like I was in a good place. Had, this peace of mind and felt like I was kind of trending towards like being able to control my mind better. And I was fearful to lose that, because like I was in a remote place where there's not a whole lot of like external stimuli, not a lot reaching you. Put the phone down and then there's nothing else to focus on except like yourself. And then to come back and like I was worried about distractions and stuff. So I started off meditating with an alarm. And so like I'm gonna go for 30 minutes today or 20 minutes today. And then I realized that after a while, like I was just waiting for the alarm to sound. So I felt like it wasn't the best use of the time.
Yeah.
So since I've been going more off of feel, just like I'm just gonna sit until I feel like it's time to get up and try to, lock in as much as I can during that time. But I like the mantra thing. I think that's a great way to not just get into it, but even just like practice too.
Yeah. Yeah. No, totally. Sometimes it's hard to just be in total silence. So mantra kind of allows you to focus on something.
Yeah. 2024 was a roller coaster of the year for you. Congratulations on the PR.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
356.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's crazy. That's fast.
Yeah.
2-second PR.
I know. Yeah. It's such a weird thing because it just had to happen at the Olympic trials and I got 4th there and obviously top 3 make the team. So it was one of those weird mind things where I want to be happy with it. I want to be proud of myself. And I am, like now on the other side of it, I am. But in the moment, it was honestly very devastating. And to miss out on a lifelong dream of becoming an Olympian it's tough. And so, it was just such a weird sensation to look up at the board and see, obviously I knew I got 4th at that point, but like, I had no idea how fast I ran. And I saw how fast and I was like, so how does number 7 all time in the US not make, the Olympic team? It was just
Amazing.
It was just a year where everyone was just firing on all cylinders. Yeah. And it just happens. And, 3 people were better than me that day. And that's just kind of the reality of it. But I think, with the time I had with the lead up to the Olympic trials, because I was injured for most of the year, like I was proud of that. And like I walked away with like, I did everything in my power to be 100% ready on that day. And I ran the best race in my life. It just wasn't enough on that particular day.
Yeah. Yeah. You had an injury earlier on in the year. So your like ramp up period was more accelerated than.
Yeah. Yeah. It was like 10 weeks.
Versus
versus months, honestly.
Right.
And I was training a bit in October, November, December, but then I had to take like, 3, after that I had an injury in January, I had to take, and it was one of those, it was a weird thing where it wasn't really showing up on an MRI.
Yeah.
But so I would go back to training and I'm like, it still really hurts. We would, do that for a week, go get another MRI. And so it didn't take until 3 MRIs. So it was like that just prolonged the recovery process. And then from there, I had to take 5 weeks completely off. And then, you know, you can't just jump right back into training. So then it's a slow ramp up. So I say I had, you know, I think it was like maybe 10 or 11 weeks of like full training before.
Yeah.
Which is really tough when no one else had that, you know, when you're competing against them. And I think I'm also someone who really benefits from racing, honestly. And like, I get way better with racing. I've kind of was like that in college, and my best years have always been like that. And I raced, I think, 3 times before the Olympic trials, which is not like I would have, you know, raced probably at least 10 times.
Wow.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah. So it was tough. Like it's even more like we're talking about the mind. Like it's tough to be able to go to the start line and I think I did as much like mental work as I possibly could before that to be like, it doesn't matter what happened. Like you know, can make this team and you're going to make it. And I was telling myself this on the start line. And I mean, yeah, like I think that alone I can walk away and be really proud of, because I honestly had no business standing on that start line being like, I'm going to make this team with the lead up I had.
Right.
But I feel like I ran a race that showed that I felt confident enough to make the team.
Yeah.
And for that, like, I'm just very proud of myself for that.
Yeah. I mean, you got to think about like to have that accelerated lead up time in 10 weeks versus like months. And then you still end up going your PR by, you know, by so much. It's like, I don't know, it probably was somewhat the moment, but then also maybe that rest potentially helped too, like to get you right, get you ready.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, my body was obviously telling me I was doing too much by, you know, this time last year, and which is why I started having an injury. But yeah, I think, at the same time, who knows if I wouldn't have, what would have happened. But I think also too, like, I just am curious if I would have had a full season where also I could have been at too.
Yeah.
But
that's such a interesting thing about track and field, or I guess any sport. But like in football, you can have your best individual game and your team loses, like we were talking about earlier. But somehow I feel like that's a little bit different than like you running your fastest race and like, but you lose the race, but you won yourself. You know what I mean? Like, how do you deal with I don't know, just that, like both sides of that?
Yeah.
You know, like doing your best, but then, you know, the outcome not being what you want it to be.
Yeah. And I think, you know, it being an individual sport, it's kind of like I only really have myself to blame in those moments. And I think that is like the hardest thing, is not placing blame on myself specifically for that race, because I did everything I could have done leading up to it, and I ran the race the way I would have ran it, you know. And so that's the hardest part, is like it's just you out there. It's literally just you. And so and it's not even, your coach isn't even out there with you, like your training partner is not even out there with you. It's just you. And so and it's your name with your result, and it's just very like black and white. You know, you either won the race or you didn't. And sometimes it's kind of tough, because I feel like a lot of those fingers get placed back on you, and that's just kind of like an internal thing with me of, you know, what could I have done differently? Should I, you know, listen to my body on this day and stop the workout short, or, you know, did I run this workout hard enough? And so it's a tough mental game of trying to pick yourself back up when things don't go your way.
And it's like you have to ask yourself those questions, right? Because that's what has led to your greatness up to this point. And that's what will continue to lead to your greatness. But then also being able to give yourself the grace in those moments too.
Yeah. Which is, I think, why you need to have a good community around you. And I feel like I heavily relied on my community, especially last year. because in those moments when you're feeling down, I think they're the ones that pick you back up and kind of remind you of the bigger picture and make you feel like, for lack of a better term, better.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I think that is honestly, like, I couldn't do it without the community I have around me. It'd be, I don't know what I would do.
Yeah. Is it ever difficult to listen to your community?
Yeah.
For me, like, I don't know, sometimes it's easy for me to just, like, kind words or words of affirmation that would just fall on deaf ears.
Yeah.
How do you kind of like orient yourself to listen when they're speaking to you?
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing is these people mean well and they love you, and they don't care whether I got first or last, you know, and like, I'll wake up tomorrow and they're still gonna love me because of me as a person and not me as an athlete.
Right.
But like, you're so right. I think, and there was moments when they're just like, you ran so well and you PR'd and, you know, all these nice things. But I'm also be like, my mind just goes, but for what? Like, I didn't meet the team. Like, that was my main goal. And so sometimes when I hear these things, I'm like, I just, like you said, they just go to deaf ears. Like, I just kind of go in one ear and went out the other.
Right.
But I think, you know, like I said, going back to they mean well, and sometimes people just don't know the best thing to say in that situation, because, you know, I've been in that position too, where something doesn't go someone's way and you're like, I don't know what to say to you to make you feel better, and they probably don't either. And but yeah, just knowing that whatever they are trying to say to me is out of love, and it's nothing but that.
It's always good to feel loved.
Yeah, always. It is the best feeling.
You ready to do this?
Yeah.
So I got a couple goals here.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that the 3 miles around the Hollister, I think I'm just gonna do one of them with you.
Okay.
But it might lead to my mile PR.
Oh, heck yeah.
So my PR is 6:30.
Yeah, I'll pay
You're
to
gonna
do
be
mile
doing
PR.
5:40 or something like that. So
Yeah.
I was just trying to hang with you.
Nice.
For one.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
It's nice because the way we'll go, the first half is downhill. So that'll give you an extra little bit.
Yeah. Thank you for making this a little bit earlier than you
Oh, yeah.
do.
Welcome to a work day for me. This work day is not too bad. Where shall we go?
Ronaldo.
Okay.
We usually like run 3 miles, warm up, big point of it, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
I might not go 3 miles, might just go a couple of them and come back.
Okay.
But I'll follow you guys.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, we need you
We'll be back.
all workout look.
Let's go.
You see you're heading down to LA.
And so the part of me was a couple.
Took a shortcut on their ass. They'll never know. They'll never know. I'm like, damn, what took y'all so long? Oh, this is the blood thing.
Yeah.
I thought this was some of Riley's gear.
No, it's a lactate meter. So
Okay.
literally the 400 is like probably prick your finger around number 3
Yeah.
and number 6, just to make sure you're not like overdoing it.
Yeah.
Make sure
And
not.
when you take it and you plug it into the machine,
No, this is what you prick your finger with,
prick that.
and then like this little strip goes in there,
Oh shit.
and then the blood goes around.
Oh wow. Okay. Dope.
Tells you how much like lactic acid you're keeping.
Yeah.
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 Because if you keep it controlled at a certain, intensity, you can do like a ton of work at that level.
Right.
And it's like can be more beneficial than going really hard.
Yeah.
But needing like 4 days of recovery, going hard again.
Yeah.
So I work out like every other day.
How are you doing?
Oh, I'm good, man. I'm ready to go. So she got 3 miles. Is the start of the workout. It's on a loop that's 1.5 miles long. We're gonna go for 2. She's gonna go for 2. I'm gonna go for 1, and try to break my PR.
What's your PR?
My PR is 6:30. So She's going 540 pace. So I feel like if I could just keep, even just close enough to her, I'll break my 630K, for 630 miles. $7:08, first mile. It didn't have it in the tank.
Was that the fastest mile you ever seen?
Yeah. Fastest mile I've run with for sure. That's why she's an Olympian. She's one of the best in the world. And I create content for a living. What's the difference? You got professionals, you got amateurs.
All right, ready?
Yep.
So it's for measuring how much lactate's in your blood. So obviously if you keep it controlled under a certain level, you can do like a lot more work in that zone. So it provides like pretty big benefits for distance runners, endurance athletes. Yeah, if you go too hard, it's like it takes longer to recover. Finally, you can do like a ton of work at this certain zone, but yeah, without building too much acid. Wipe your hand off real good. There.
Ooh.
Then just kind of hold down, squeeze it a little bit, keep that blood going.
There you go.
And then wipe it off like a couple times. Then we'll use like the third dot or so.
A little bit more. There we go, perfect.
Oh wow, look at that.
Perfect.
10.7.
10.2.
Oh God! We gotta slow down. Threshold has been exceeded. Oh wow, that's great.
That's good though. You got a good workout in.
Appreciate you, Sinclair. Thanks for letting me come out and join you.
Of course. Thanks for joining.
Appreciate you, bro.
Nice work.
And that's all very cool.
Good work, man. You got some miles in today.
Yeah, it was good. Good. Your team just went out to Boulder and you vowed to stay here.
Yeah.
You decided to stay here in Portland. Why do you love Portland so much?
I kind of like I was talking about earlier, I've just built a really good community here. And I value that probably more than anything. Like the people in my life are my priority. And so, yeah, I think I've really built something special here and something that maybe could be recreated in Boulder, but I don't ever know, but I don't want to take that for granted. And I don't want to give something up that I don't want to give up. And I do love it here in Portland. I think it's such a unique city. I like the size, a lot of it. Like, I think for me and my fiance, we really like to spend time outdoors, and this is just the perfect playground for that, and the weather's pretty mild. I mean, obviously we get a lot of rain, but in terms of ultra cold weather, ultra hot weather, like we don't get that. So I'm like, that's great for training. And there was a shift basically last March where I kind of let Craig take over my training because I was just getting hurt a lot, and he's known me since I was 18. And he's seen me go through my college coach, my first professional coach, and then my other professional coach that I just left, and knows me really well. I mean, he sees me every single day. He sees how I respond to different things, and he's also a runner himself too. So I think that helps a lot. He has much more of a background. And so we kind of came up with this game plan of let's try this new system, and which is kind of what I'm doing now, which is what I was explaining to you earlier.
Wednesday, Friday.
Yeah, and in measuring it with the lactate meter and just being a lot more measured with things. And I think a lot of times I got into this overtraining route or overtraining stint, and that would just leave me injured a lot. And it's not enjoyable when you're injured. And I just was really struggling in March with like, I guess I just don't really like this sport anymore. I just don't feel like this is something that I want to do. I really had to like kind of find my why of why I do this sport. And I think I had a lot of realizations, and I think, you know, now I'm kind of, after my season was over, then I was kind of implementing all those realizations I had. And now I am like, it's just so much happier, and I'm happier in my life, which makes me happier with running. I'm enjoying running again. It's become, you know, something I look forward to. And yeah, Craig, my fiance, is now my coach, and we get to just have this freedom to do the things that make me the best, but then also do things like that make this enjoyable, like, you know, going to Phoenix. Like, I love going to training camps. I think it's fun to just go for, you know, a month and just really focus and dial in.
Lock in.
Yeah, and also just give me a change of scenery. Like, we were in Flagstaff all of November, and I absolutely love Flagstaff, Arizona, and that's high altitude, so I'll do that 2 to 3 times a year, high altitude training. And yeah, I can do all those things now, and I can race the races I want to race. And I think, you know, the beauty of having a team is having people to do the hard, unpretty things with every day. And I really, really love that. Like, I was on 2 teams where I made best friends, like people that will all be in my life forever. But at the same time, you kind of lose your individuality a little bit when being on a team, because you just can't, the coach can't write specific training for everyone in the group every single day.
Right.
And I think I'm just at a point in my career where I just really need that highly individualized training. And so, yeah, that's where I'm at now. So
It's exciting.
Yeah.
That's exciting. I mean, there's a lot of change
Yep.
in your life
happening
happening now. But to be able to maintain the consistency of, you know, the place that you call home, obviously your community, and to have Craig here, and you know, Portland is also, or Oregon's a place that embraces running as well.
It is, yeah.
Right. And one of my favorite places to watch a track meet is Hayward Field. You know, like Track Town, there is just an energy that is different out there.
Yeah. Yeah, it's nice. And I think running is, for me, a huge part of my life. It's even just from my day-to-day, it's a huge part of what I do. But I also really value my life outside of running.
Yeah.
And like I was saying earlier, I think I worked really hard to build that here, and to make sure that I'm a holistic person and I'm happy off the track. So then when I step on the track, then I can be my best self.
Right. It's that positive attitude that you step on the starting line with at trials last year. You know, that doesn't come from nowhere.
Yeah,
right?
no.
It stems from a place of like being in a consistently positive mindset. I think I like the idea of like structuring training in different places. You're talking about you'd spend a month in Flagstaff, and then Phoenix, and then, you know, wherever next year. Is there ever a time where, instead of saying I'm going to let the geography or the place inform the decision, maybe it's an athlete that I really enjoy training with? Or like, does that ever happen where you're like, yo, there's this runner out in Phoenix or out in Houston or Austin, and like, we're just gonna link up for a week and like do our workouts together?
Yeah.
Like, would that ever happen?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't up to this point, obviously, because I was on teams before this, but no, that could totally be it. Like, I have a good friend who is also a really great runner out in Boulder, actually. And so that can be a place where I would see myself going and doing an altitude training camp. Well, actually, when I was in Flagstaff, there's another athlete there that I did overlap with and did some workouts with. And so, yeah, and Flagstaff's honestly the best place for that, because a lot of distance runners go there to train. But even when I'm in Phoenix, there's a couple girls that have also reached out to me saying that they're going to be there too. And so it's nice. And Nike is done a lot of really good work this summer and kind of transforming their teams. And so they're creating hubs at various locations. So Park City, Flagstaff, and Eugene are the 3 hubs.
Okay.
And so basically, you know, because they have a lot of athletes that aren't on like official teams, and they're kind of trying to create this network of, you want to go to Park City for a month and train, like we have a coach here who will to, get you situated with track access and gym access. You have also people here that train here full time. You can hop into workouts if it, deems fit and if the coach allows that. And so it's been really cool, because I think the scariest thing for me going on my own was that I wasn't going to have a team, and I wasn't going to have training partners around me. And now with the kind of this new transition for Nike into making these network training hubs, it's definitely more conducive to being on my own.
Yeah. That's a great role for Nike to play.
Oh, it's so cool. Yeah, and they're just really building out, Flagstaff. They're starting ground on a lot of facilities already have at in Park City, but it's exciting. And so they'll have there are 3 coaches still in these various locations, but it's kind of more of, I think they're just making room for the athlete that doesn't fit into this box of wanting to train on this team in this specific place. And I just really appreciate that, because I think they've learned a lot in the past few years, and they have a lot of their best athletes not in training groups. And they realize sometimes people just need to feel really confident in their situation, and not trying to, fit into a situation where, a sponsor wants you to, but it doesn't feel like the best fit for you.
Right. Yeah, and finding a way to support the athletes still, even if they can't be on a team, and they're still obviously outfitted with the merch, but how do you support their performance if you're not funding the team and the coach and all these things? But creating a network of runners and coaches in places where there is some optionality, of where where you can go and train and live and find that balance. I think that's also a trend of more and more our generation and younger generations are thinking about the balance of work/sport and life outside of work/sport.
You're so right. Yeah.
And so what city, what place, what setup is most conducive to that balance? And then, for Nike, or for whatever brand stepping in, how can I support this, new wave of athletism?
Yeah. So it's been really exciting, and Nike's already such an innovative brand, and they're always at the head of the curve. And we had a distance summit, a couple weeks ago, where they invited all North American distance runners, and they just were talking to us, want to hear what concerns we have, or things that we feel like we need, and how they can support us. And it just feels good to be sponsored by a brand that is interested in you succeeding, obviously on the track, but in your own life, and you being able to create what you feel like you need to succeed.
Yeah. When I was doing my research, I saw there was a runner that's sponsored by Lululemon.
Yes. Yeah.
It looked like they're one of your homies too. You guys did a race together.
Yeah, that's the athlete that I did some workouts with in Flagstaff.
Okay, what's her name?
Nikki.
Hiltz.
Yeah, Nikki Hiltz. Yeah.
Hiltz. Yeah. Swag too. Love the content.
Yeah.
You've been putting out great content too.
Yeah, I'm trying to get better at it.
Yeah. What I like the running in the rain ASMR.
Yes.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. I think from not only from an individual athlete standpoint, it's great for fans to be able to see the work that you're doing.
Yeah.
And kind of giving them a peek behind the curtain, but also for the sport too.
Yeah.
Because so many of us, you're just talking about think we're runners, or want to be runners, or we're runners in our own respect. My 420 miles, which is less than a month and a half of work for you, but then to be able to see how you're doing it, and how Nikki is running the hills, and the reel that they put together was a week long, and it was all the mileage throughout the week.
I know, that's.
And I was oh,
good. Whoa, okay.
Yeah.
They run a lot.
Killing it. So no, I've been loving the content.
Yeah, cool. Thank you. I appreciate that. I actually, one of my friends is helping me do that right now, and so just trying to I am not an Instagram person at all. Like I just really don't like having to do it, but I feel like people do like it and people resonate with it. And I think one of my big things is storytelling and being able to give people an insight into like who I am. And so just being able to, do that in a creative way of things on track, but then also off track too. So stay tuned for some more content, my Rai.
Come on. Hey, B-Scar TV is the home of high quality content.
Oh yeah.
So best believe RB over here is going to whip up some reels for us.
Heck yeah. Love that.
Let's play a little game. You can look into this camera right here.
Okay.
And, what should this be? Tell the audience anything that the thing that you want to get off your chest. Just something that you just want to tell somebody who's listening to this podcast right now or watching this podcast right now. What would you tell them? It could be inspirational. It could be.
Okay. I would say the biggest thing that I want to tell someone is to be your biggest advocate. I think I've learned that throughout my career that no one's going to advocate for you. Well, some people will, but you're going to be your biggest advocate, meaning like you need to stand up for what you want, you believe, where you want to go and do that. So.
Yeah, that was great. That was great. What are you looking forward to, 2025?
I'm looking forward to racing more,
being
healthy. I'm looking forward to starting to plan a wedding. Looking forward to that.
Let's go.
Congratulations again.
Thank you. Yeah.
Where's it
What else
going to
am
be?
I like? It's going to be here in Portland.
Oh,
Yeah. Not until fall 2026, but I want to make the process fun and enjoyable, and I'm going to plan it myself. So I want to start planning like now.
You're giving yourself some good runway.
I'm getting myself some really good runway.
Yeah.
So we're not going to be stressed and everything is going to be exactly how I want it to be.
Beautiful.
But yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Looking forward to more travel to new places. Hopefully that means, Japan, Tokyo later this year where the World Championships are. What else am I looking forward to? Yeah, that's kind of it. I think, being here, being in Portland, I think one goal of mine this year is to really try and get involved in more of just like the general running community in Portland. And so luckily with Tracklandia here with Jeff, I don't know if you know Jeff Merrill, but he does a lot of Tracklandia, which is kind of more Portland running community. And it's just like it's a really very niche, but also very, very welcoming and great community. And so I want to be more involved in that and just, be able to, I think that's the beauty about what we do is we're so accessible to just the average person. And I love that about the sport. And so being able to give back in that way.
Dope. Yeah. Can you do the Juneteenth 5K? A run on the block.
We'll see. That's a hard time of the year.
Right in the too close.
Too
close.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sometimes I'm like, that's like peak.
That's later. Okay.
Yeah.
We'll say.
But maybe we'll see.
Deadstock Run Club.
Yes, that's
Shout out to Ian Williams. He was actually the first episode.
Oh, nice.
Of season 3.
Yeah.
Shout out to Ian and Deadstock Run Club.
Yeah. Even that, if you're watching this, you want to do a fun run with me and meet up for a run, join a weeknight run club activity, whatever, I'm down for it. So
hell yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect. Well, I'm looking forward to folks being able to listen and watch this episode, B-Scar TV, because it's been very inspiring for me. It's cool to hear about your story and everything that is going on in your life right now. It's very exciting times with the change, but also the commitment to some consistency here in Portland and, with Craig coaching and everything that you've learned over the last few years in your professional career has been packed with a lot of lessons that I'm excited for you. you know, as you continue to learn and feel your body and listen to your body and all those things. So I wish you the best of luck.
Thank you.
2025.
I
And
appreciate that.
we'll be rooting for you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. It's another episode of B-Scar TV. Peace.
See ya.
Leave us a review. Drop a comment. What do you want to see? What do you want to hear? Who do you want to hear from? We would love to hear from you.